Hello, friends, and welcome to Shauna Stitches. I'm Shauna, and this is State of the Stash 4, where I'm going to be talking about all the yarn that came into my stash and out of my stash in the month of January 2023. I'm recording this on February 4th, 2023, and I'm coming to you from my home on the Oregon coast. I just got done recording my episode number 69. So if you want to hop on over and take a look at that one, or if you're coming here after seeing that, I mentioned that I'm wearing the same thing. I just didn't feel like changing today. So this is my Boxy sweater by Locatelli. I knit this out of Holst Garn Supersoft. I don't know what I was about to say there, but it wasn't super soft. Anyway, Holst Garn Super Soft in the color Marlin, which is a bluish, blackish gray, maybe. And I finished that in 2022. I'm drinking plain old black coffee in my Crazy Sock Lady mug. And I'm recording in cinematic mode, so that's taking a little getting used to. I haven't edited anything yet in this mode. I would love your feedback if you think it is better quality, worse quality, if it just doesn't seem to be focusing, all those good things. I'd love to hear. In case this is the first time that you're watching a State of the Stash episode, I started this, I think it was October of 2022, because it had been on my mind for quite some time. I wanted to get a grasp on my yarn buying and use more of what I have in my stash, which seems to be what a lot of people are doing this year. So yay us. So far I can say I've not bought any yarn in 2023, but I have had yarn come into my stash. So how does that work? I will explain it all. But if you're joining me and you are trying to use up more stash than you're bringing in, welcome. If you just like to see my acquisitions, welcome for that too. And maybe I can encourage you to find something beautiful in your stash to knit. All right, let's get into it. So the very first acquisition that I had come in January is going to be crinkly. I apologize. I will try not to crinkle it too much. These are the row 1 minis. And the dyer is Woolen Woman Fibers. I don't have my little sheet that said where they're from. They are beautiful. If you watched my State of the Stash last month, I mentioned that I was not going to be canceling my row 1 minis. And when this came into my stash for January, I'm part of a group on a website called Fiberkind, where it is similar to State of the Stash, where you track yarn in and yarn out. However, each skein gets -2 points when it comes into your stash, -2 or +2 points if you use it all, +1 if you use part, and then +1 when you use the rest. So anyway, it's a system. So that being 10 little separate balls of yarn, that was -20 into my stash for the new year. And of course, I would like to end the year having a positive number instead of a negative number. And I just felt like those row 1 minis were not going to help me accomplish that because, of course, here we go. Me and math, not friends. But I think at the end of the year, I would have -240 points just from row 1 minis. So I went ahead, I canceled my subscription. That's not to say that I won't renew it at some point, but for now, for the rest of the year, we are going to avoid that. So those row 1 minis will be the last ones that you see, and that was 100 grams into my stash. Then I finished a pair of socks. These are the Desert Vista Dye Works socks that I knit for January. And the colorway, which I still cannot pronounce, is something similar to Lottery Macaroons. I've got the macaroon part down. And these used up 75 grams out of my stash. So that left me for January positive 25. So I still had a surplus of 25 grams in my stash. Then I received 4 skeins of this beautiful mohair, 50 grams each. It's a pinky purple color, dyed by Anna of Zebra Yarns. And that added 200 grams in the stash. So now I was plus 225 grams more in stash than what I had knit out. Well, thank goodness I finished some things. The first one being my Pierre shawl. Hopefully you're seeing that well enough. It's hard to see when my face is covered what you're seeing and what you're not seeing. This is a quite large shawl by Stephen West. It's recommended for DK weight, but I used worsted weight. This is Lamb brand Fisherman's Wool. And let me just say that if you want to get rid of a lot of grams out of your stash very fast, DK and worsted weight is the way to go. However, my stash doesn't have a lot of DK and worsted weight, so it is what it is. But I was able to knit up quite a lot. This shawl used 391 grams of yarn, so that is pretty fabulous. That actually brought me to the other side of things, maybe for the first time ever. So I was negative 166 grams. So I was more used than brought in at this point. Then I had more yarn come into my stash, which I did not buy, but I received this lovely package in a beautiful box. It says "Make the Days Count." This is from Nicole Professor Pearl on YouTube and Instagram, and I won a prize for knitting the Love Note sweater. So this is the yarn that I won. It is a Zabra ball, and I cannot read the name because it's in another language, but there it is in case you're interested. I hope that's focusing. It's color 1993, that much I can read. And it's in these beautiful browns and creams, and I love it. So that was 100 grams into my stash, which I was still ahead of the game. I was still negative 66. And then I cast on for the Slumber Cowl, which is a pattern by Stephen West. I cast on with the leftovers from the Pierre shawl, and I knit the matching cowl. I used up all of the cream color, all of the oatmeal, and most of this brown. I did not include the dark brown. Let me model this for you real quick. There we go. It's beautiful. This used up 350 grams for my stash, which left me for the month negative 416. Yes, it is literally the first time that I have ended a month using more yarn than I brought into stash. And I'm not gonna lie, that feels really good. I've been watching a lot of people who are talking about putting their stash into Ravelry, and I've never been good about that. I always add the yarn into my project when I create the project page, but actually putting stuff in stash, definitely not my strong suit. I can see the advantages to it, but I don't think I'm at a point yet where I'm willing to be faced with the amount of yardage and grams in my stash. That being said, I pulled out, I'd say 95% of my yarn stash the other day to kind of reorganize some of the things, and I took a photo. I wasn't going to air my dirty little secrets or dirty big secrets, I don't know, but I am going to share it with you guys because, you know, I need you to understand, I guess, where I'm coming from when I say I have a lot of beautiful yarn, I just want to use it, and it has become overwhelming. So the photo I'm going to insert here is a picture of my living room floor covered with the little clear plastic, soft plastic cases that I use to hold my yarn. all of these fit under the guest bed in my guest room, which is a queen size bed. And in that regard, it's nice because I can get it, put out of sight, out of mind. But I think that can also help encourage you to forget what you have. So I think I'm just going to make it a point to pull those out, not all the time, but frequently. Every time I want to start a new project, I think I'll pull them all out just to kind of reacquaint myself with some of my yarn. So there you have it. We have a successful January, and that makes me so happy. And rolling into February, we're going to keep that momentum going. I'd love to hear how you all did in January. Are you keeping up with your goals of using more stash, or are you currently buying yarn? I'd love to hear about it. Leave me a comment down below. I did forget to mention you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Shauna Stitches, and of course here on YouTube also as Shauna Stitches. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll talk to you all soon, and we'll be letting you know what happened in February. Talk to you soon. Bye.